On October 9, 2020, a case in Northeast Texas drew national attention after authorities said a pregnant woman was killed and her unborn child was taken from her womb. The case later led to the conviction and death sentence of Taylor Renee Parker. According to court records and reporting reviewed in recent documentary coverage, 21-year-old Reagan Simmons-Hancock was living in New Boston, Texas, and was expecting a baby girl. Family members described her as excited about becoming a mother. Authorities say that on the morning of October 9, 2020, events unfolded that would quickly trigger a multi-agency investigation spanning Texas and Oklahoma. According to investigators, Taylor Parker had spent months falsely claiming that she was pregnant. Court testimony later indicated that Parker had previously undergone medical procedures that made her unable to carry another child. Prosecutors argued during trial that Parker maintained the false pregnancy story for an extended period while in a relationship with her boyfriend, Wade Griffin. Authorities say the situation reached a critical point when Parker's claimed due date had already passed. According to court documents discussed in media reports, Parker allegedly arranged for Griffin to meet her at a hospital later that day. Investigators later alleged that Parker then traveled to Simmons-Hancock's residence in New Boston. Prosecutors later presented evidence that Simmons-Hancock was attacked inside her home. Authorities said she suffered multiple stab wounds and that her unborn child was removed from her womb. The baby, later identified as Braxlyn Sage Hancock, was taken from the scene. According to investigators, the timeline moved quickly after the attack. Authorities say that later that morning, a Texas state trooper stopped Parker after observing erratic driving. During the encounter, Parker reportedly told officers she had just given birth and needed assistance getting to a hospital in Oklahoma. Emergency personnel were called, and Parker was transported for medical evaluation. At the hospital, doctors conducted an examination. According to investigators, medical personnel determined that Parker had not recently given birth. Authorities have said this finding immediately raised serious concerns and became a major turning point in the investigation. Meanwhile, at approximately the same time, Reagan Simmons-Hancock's mother discovered her daughter inside the home and called 911. Emergency responders arrived, but authorities later confirmed that Simmons-Hancock had died. The infant, Braxlyn, was transported for medical care, but was later pronounced dead. As investigators worked to piece together the events of the day, law enforcement agencies from multiple jurisdictions became involved. Authorities later stated that Parker was questioned by investigators and eventually provided statements about portions of what happened. Reports indicate that investigators noted inconsistencies in some of those accounts during the investigation. Following the investigation, Parker was charged with capital murder, and kidnapping. Prosecutors argued that the crime was part of an effort to continue the false pregnancy narrative she had been presenting to people around her. It is important to note that during criminal proceedings, defendants are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in court. The case eventually proceeded to trial in Texas. During court proceedings, jurors heard testimony about Parker's personal history, her relationships, and what prosecutors described as an extensive pattern of deception. Witnesses testified regarding false pregnancy claims, fake medical documents, and other alleged efforts to convince people that she was expecting a child. Prosecutors argued that these actions helped explain the events that followed. The defense also presented its case before the jury. After hearing the evidence, a Texas jury found Parker guilty of capital murder. In November 2022, the jury sentenced her to death. Following the conviction, the case entered the appeals process. Court records and recent reporting indicate that Parker challenged her conviction through the appellate system. However, her conviction and sentence were upheld. In 2026, the United States Supreme Court declined to review the case, leaving the lower court rulings in place. Separate civil litigation also emerged after the criminal case. According to reports, Reagan Simmons-Hancock's husband filed a wrongful death lawsuit in 2022. Media reports indicate that the lawsuit named both Parker and Wade Griffin. Public reporting reviewed for this video states that the outcome of that civil case has not been publicly announced. These are civil allegations and are separate from the criminal proceedings. As for administrative and correctional actions, Parker was transferred into the Texas prison system following sentencing. According to recent reports, she is currently housed at the Patrick L. O'Daniel Unit in Gatesville, Texas. Multiple outlets report that she remains on Texas death row and is currently the youngest woman housed there. At this stage, the criminal case itself has resulted in a conviction and death sentence, and major appeals reported publicly have been unsuccessful. Any future legal action would likely involve additional post-conviction proceedings or other legal remedies that may be available under state or federal law. No new court ruling has been publicly reported beyond the recent denial of review by the U.S. Supreme Court. In summary, authorities say the case began with months of alleged deception and ended with the deaths of Reagan Simmons-Hancock and her unborn daughter, Braxlyn. Investigators conducted a multi-agency investigation, prosecutors secured a conviction for capital murder, and a Texas jury imposed a death sentence. Appeals have so far been unsuccessful, and Parker remains on death row in Texas. As always, we will continue to follow any future legal developments that become part of the public record. If you found this report informative, please consider sharing the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications for future updates on major criminal justice and legal cases.